guys, we're here. Welcome to AnimeinkArt Live Talks. I'm your host, Lizzie from AnimeinkArt. I hope you guys are having a good Friday. It's the start to the weekend. We're here. We made it. Welcome back to another AnimeinkArt Live Talks, where we talk with different creators in the Blur community about their journey in content creation and how to support each other better in the community. So let's just get a few more people in here. Let us know that we're starting. I hope you guys had a great week in general. I know it's been crazy with the weather and everything all over the state, all over the different states, but we're here and it's going to be a great time. So, today we have very special guest, Tha Gata Negrra. So, they're an amazing nerdcore hip hop artist. They're known for their kawaii pop alternative hip hop style, and they're an amazing artist. They've been to a lot of your favorite conventions and events, especially in the tri-state, because they're a local Jersey resident in Newark, New Jersey. We love their cat aesthetic, just their love for their culture and all things. So definitely let's get them on the show and let's get it started.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
You wouldn't believe what it took to get here.
But we got here. That's all.
But we got here. That's the
point. But how was the rest of your week, and how was the day before day?
Very snowy. Yeah, it was. We got snowed in, like just pretty much like everybody else. But we made it through. Nobody died, so we're good.
Yeah, nobody died. The roads are still terrible a few days later, but
Yeah. Yeah, they're horrible. People got their cars totally plowed in. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're good. We're good. Coming off of our con depression a
Yeah.
little bit. 'Cause we just did
MagFest?
MagFest. Yeah, so the first few days is always like because you're home from a con, and you're just like, that con depression is real, man.
Yeah,
It really is. So yeah, and my daughter Phoenix, she dances with us. She says hi. She
hello.
had lost her phone at a DJ Vegas set at the
Mhm.
event, and she just got it back, so she's happy. You know, Shout out to whoever brought her phone to Lost and Found at MagFest. Thank you.
So definitely, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And for those that may not know who you are, introduce yourself and what you do.
Okay, I am the Gata Negra. I am a Brick City native, North New Jersey. I am a nerdcore hip hop artist in a niche genre, like an offshoot splinter genre called kawaii hop, which I coined myself. There are reasons why I coined this, but yeah, I've been on the con circuit. It'll be 11 years this year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've been around. Okay,
Yes.
I did it. I did the things. I paid most of my dues. But past couple of years I've just been picking up traction. Two albums. One is called Gata City. That's my debut,
Mm-hmm.
and Prowl, which is my second. Few singles. Music on a show on Hulu called East Los High. You might have heard me on Basketball Wives Orlando. Some stuff is on there that I've done. So yeah. And I have to get back into it, but I'm a streamer as well. Yeah, I've been slacking in the streaming department. So, but I do that, and yeah, I try to get around as many cons that'll have me, because where else are they gonna have a kawaii cat girl?
It's definitely true. And I just wanted to ask, what got you into music and, creating your own music?
Music is the family business. My dad, he was a songwriter and a front man for at least two bands. One of which he was in a band with former poet laureate Amiri Baraka. He sang in doo-wop group back in the. This is before the Supremes got the name Supremes.
Mm.
His group was Supremes. They, were in competition with the parliaments, which you might know, George
Yes.
Clinton, yes, which was also doo-wop. They grew up together, so they were friends. But it basically it kind of came naturally, when I was young. I started rhyming when I was very young. I've been through two groups. My dad, he would write songs and I would help him out with that. I started writing songs myself. It's kind of hard not to be exposed to a lot of music. My parents loved music. They loved almost everything. And I just fell right into it. It was natural. It was organic. I couldn't help it. So that's how I got there. And I write all my own stuff. Nobody writes my stuff for me. So, and that's how it's always been. I've always written. So, I mean, a lot of people are under the misconception that you have to freestyle all the time to be an MC, and that's never what I've done. I've always just written. So, I write everything. There are. There were other people who contributed to my album, and they count them as writers. But as far as lyrically, I write everything. So that's how I got into it. Plus, I guess it didn't help that I went to arts high school. So yeah.
Yes, I did see that, and I would ask, how was that experience being at that performing arts school helped you with your career going forward?
Well, it taught me to more, most importantly, I suppose, to be on stage in front of people. I mean, I had been doing that anyway for most of my life, like between going to dance school and, doing dance recitals and, I think, plays and violin lessons and all of that stuff. Like I basically, that's what it taught me. How to get on stage, do it with poise. Do it with flair. Just be the best performer you can be. I mean, we mainly learn how to sing in choirs, choruses. But you
Mm.
still had to have that, you had to own the stage, even though you were part of a group, So that's what you end up learning how to do. I guess that's what it taught me. And to, really just love all kinds of music. I think that's how it helped me, honestly.
That's awesome. And I wanted to ask about how you came up with your name. And I know that like Indie Flavor magazine called you NJ's real life Catwoman. So I wanted to get into like, like how did you get into that aesthetic, and then how did you get termed that like nickname over the course of your career? Like what started like the aesthetic?
Well, honestly, just really leaning into my seat of power, I guess is the best way I could say it. I had a vision of Bast and Secament, and they kind of admonished me for playing small.
Mm,
I was going through like a whole reinvention, whether I liked it or not, at some point.
mm,
And, when I was growing up, someone was always calling me cat because I just had an affinity for cats, obviously. And the black cat, it turned out, was my power animal. It
mm,
walks with me.
mm.
And Panther also joined the fray and started walking with me. So that's why I think I was visited by those two in particular, and they were like, "Stop playing small. You need to embrace who find out who you are. You know who you are. You need to embrace that." So it really started like I was using it as a username. That's why it looks the way it does, like it's one joined up word. And it just stuck like that, and Gata, of course, for short. So the Black Cat, Black Panther, my name, my actual name is Gata Pantera Negra.
Mhm.
And I kind of just went for it. They said, okay, you're not going big enough. You need to go bigger. So
Mhm.
that's where I just embraced it because it was always a part of me, with the ears and the stuff and the things. I always wore that type of stuff, right? So I just basically shoved the wheel all the way to the right. That's, you know, I was like, look, this is where, and slammed on the accelerator because that's where they were like, you just have to go for it. You
Mhm.
can't hold back now. Embrace all of who you are. And it kind of stuck. It just is who I feel. I feel comfortable. I feel at home in my skin. You know, I
I
had
love
to
that.
embrace everything.
I love that. I just love the uniqueness of it. And then, I just
Oh,
love that.
thanks.
You're welcome. It's because, I always love, especially when, artists that always had like a background in music, like from like you're at the high school and then for your family, but being able to like put your love for like everything like nerd and otaku and then just create your own style. Many people don't realize like how much of a process, that is. And for you, I know you have like a mixture of Afrofuturism with like the Korra, and then also you show your love for anime and everything that you do. So two-part question. Being that you're from like, a musical family that's like more probably like more traditional when it came to like music, and then embracing like your love for talking your music, what was that process like? What was the response for people that were like, okay, this is the route that you're taking?
Right. I basically, I had thought about it some years back, and for some reason I completely forgot that I really got dishonest because when my dad, when he was a front man, right, he actually did dress up his characters.
Mm,
He had his own characters. One of them was Dark Gable, the Black Baron. He had a whole aviator thing going. He
mm,
had this really cool hat with like 10,000 rhinestones on it. It was beautiful, right? And then he had a burglar thing with the flashlight and the stripes. So he's like the old fashioned burglar with the striped shirts on and the
yeah.
hat and the mask. He was doing it. So I'm going, it just figures that this is the route I decided to take. Fine, whatever. I got it honest, I mean, I think besides, that and the whole P funk, because he was totally into P funk, that whole thing. But seeing
Mm,
all of that and then seeing, I think what did it for me that I said, you know what, screw this, was I saw Gnarls Barkley and they were all dressed up like freaking Star Wars. And I
mm.
said, yo, nope, we're doing it. We're doing it. This is what's going to happen because I get the excuse. Like, I was that girl growing up that would just dress up because it was Tuesday. You
Mm,
know,
mhm.
I
Yeah.
just liked, costumes. I liked makeup. I just, it was my thing. I would throw costume parties and they would always think it was my birthday. I'm like, nah, it's not my birthday. I'm just having a party. We're having a costume sleepover. It's no big deal. So that was my thing. I was cosplaying before I even knew what it was.
Mm,
But at first that was like, the thing I was really incorporating hard into the group, with the dances and everything. And they people didn't get it. People
mm,
did not get it. I actually used to say cosplay rapper, but I felt it was pigeonholing me,
mm.
just by saying that. So I just, I came up with something else. This is what I do. And I people didn't get it. People still don't get it. That's right.
Yeah,
Halloween
like
all
Halloween.
year. I own that. My husband and I own Halloween. When people like do that too, I said, "Happy Halloween." We're like, "Yes, all the time."
Yeah.
Yes, you're not insulting us. So, but yeah, it took it. That's how I basically figured out where I was going to land.
Mhm,
I met an MC, Mecha Godzilla.
mhm,
And Mecha Godzilla, I look up to a lot because he's like done so many things. He's gone to Japan. He's done like a ton of stuff. And he said to me, "Go where you're appreciated."
mhm.
And I said, "Yeah, okay. Where else am I going to be appreciated except, you know what I'm saying? You know where I'm
Yeah,
going with this." So,
exactly.
where else would they appreciate a cat girl? Anime cons, duh. So,
Mhm,
or fandom cons, anything like that. So, you know, it's hard because people don't necessarily get it. I want to find the people who do, and it's a process, but I seem to be finding. I mean, even like my dad when we started the label, he started the label 3 Miles Entertainment. They didn't understand it at first, you
mm,
know, and there was always someone trying to nerf me.
okay.
And I was like, you're going to be waiting a long time if you expect me to just, do something that makes you comfortable. I don't want to do that.
Mm,
I learned the hard way to never do that. I can't be nerfing. And then like even a couple of years ago, I had to catch myself because I caught myself slipping, and I felt like I was nerfing myself a
Mm.
little bit. Even like, I'll be honest with you, I'll be completely honest with you.
Mhm.
Even me going, coming up with the term kawaii hop
Yeah.
was a nerf in a way.
Mm.
And the reason why I say that is because it was me in a flash of I don't know what, trying to make myself more palatable to the
Yeah.
places I was trying to get booked at. Like, because
Mhm.
it seemed like some places were really afraid of, if I said alternative hip hop artist or cosplay hip hop artist, the word hip hop would send them screaming into the night. And I was like, okay, how can I soften this so that
Yeah.
people are not freaking out? And I said, well, kawaii is part of the culture. That's what you're doing.
Mhm.
So kawaii hop, and that's it stuck. And
Mhm.
everybody's like, yo, you creating your own genre. And I'm like, I never really thought of it that way. But it is what it is. It's what I do. I have no other words for it, you know. But if that answered your question, please let me know.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Don't worry. You're good.
Scary characters, huh?
Yeah, definitely. And I wanted to ask because you've been able to collab with a lot of amazing people, including DJ Awesomeness Prime. And how
Yes.
how are you able to meet them and collaborate with them? Because I do believe they had a project, a Scott Pilgrim project, and
Yeah.
you're on one of the songs. I want to ask, like, how did you get to have that collaboration with him, and how has it been throughout the years?
Okay, so my husband, Peace, Supreme Lord of the Rumpus, um, went and volunteered at New Jersey GamerCon.
Mm,
Now, I think it's called ECGX now. And he met Prime there. And he went in his Pac-Man suit, looking all cool and stuff. And like he meets Prime. I've seen Prime's name. I'd seen it before, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Okay, you met Prime. Nice." So like he calls me back. He says, "Yeah, I've been talking to Prime and somebody canceled and they didn't come to the show and we might have to bring you down here to perform." And I was like, "Wait, what?" You know, no, I thought you said we couldn't get there. It didn't happen, but Prime had heard what I'd done and
mhm.
he was ready to bring me down here
Oh my god.
to the con to fill in for whoever it was that didn't make it. But that didn't happen. But we kept in touch, and we just eventually we became pretty close. We started talking together, and he asked me to, he said he wanted to put together a Scott Pilgrim project, and
Mhm,
that's how that happened. He was like, would you do Roxy Richter? And I
mhm,
was like, yeah, you know. And I think that was the first time I actually hooked up my rig to record anything.
mhm,
Um, and I said if it wasn't for him,
mhm.
I would never have hooked the thing up. I don't think, because I would have just been frustrated. I didn't have anything to do.
Mhm.
I would just go to like my dad's house and go record over there. Because it was easier in a way because it was already set up and it's a whole like full service studio. So, but at home, I just said, you know what? This thing is not going to sit in a box. I got to put it to use. So that was
Yeah.
my first official recording with that. And
Mm,
he said he liked it. He said it took a while to get, to be heard, but it was just so fun to do. I was excited. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I love this, so but we've done a few things together. He believed in me when no one else did, and I appreciated that from him.
that's definitely. I got to meet them at GalaxyCon Animate recently. So
Hmm.
they very sweet person, and I'm glad that you guys like he's helped you along the way. So
Yeah, yeah. He was like, I don't understand how you're not famous. I'm like,
you're like in due time. Like give me some time.
I'm like, bro, it just is what it is. I'm happy I'm doing stuff. So I'm just grateful that he gave me, because, through him, I've gotten so many opportunities, and it's the best. It's the best. It's really cool when you have a circle that believes in what you're doing.
Yeah, that's true. And I also wanted to ask because people don't know about like being in the trenches of where we live, being nerds when we were growing up.
Oh,
And
don't get me started.
and it's a two-parter, so I'll ask, how was it growing up for you, in the past, being a blerd? But now, not only are you, your own lane within, New Jersey, you've been to a lot of conventions, even that I didn't even know of, you know what I mean? And like
Really?
new ones that came. And I know about like Keen Fest and like some of the and like the festivals, but there's new ones popping up that you've been to, and you also got to be part of another the hip hop superheroes. So it was a nerdcore
Um,
event in Newark and Jay. So
that was my baby.
yeah, so I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
how was it growing up in the area, as a blerd? And how is it now that not only were you able to create your own event, but like, be a force within the community and have others that are trying to be part of the community in that way?
Okay, so coming up, uh, it was worse. I mean, it was pretty bad. I was that weird kid. I think everyone has this story. I
Hmm.
was that one that nobody never got. Not even my own family, really. To some degree, they didn't get me either. But you find your people. I got bullied. I got bullied. Oh God, I got bullied like my entire life. It's just
Yeah.
it is what it is. Um, you got told you into that white people
Yeah.
stuff. You know.
Yeah.
So you know, okay. Um, I got picked on from about everything from my hair to my clothes to my taste in music because I listen to. I'm a rock chick. I'm gonna be
Mhm.
honest. Everything was rock. I mean, rock, new wave, pop, hip hop.
Mhm.
Just all over the place. The only thing I did not listen to probably was country. But I tried. It didn't work. But I came up not being grossly misunderstood. But it didn't help. I had my moments where I was just like, why am I even here? Where do I belong? Why do I belong? You have a lot of that going on when you're growing up in your formative years. Um, but the irony is that people who I knew and grew up with and went to school with and
Mhm.
interacted with would
Mhm.
say to me that if it wasn't for you,
Mm.
I wouldn't have felt like I could express myself too.
Wow.
And that blew my mind. I couldn't even wrap my mind around it when, it was coming from quite a few people. I ran into a guy that I hadn't seen since I was like, I don't know, 12. And I think we were like full on adults and we were at a party for one of our friends. And he was like, I knew when you were 12, I always knew that you were that one that didn't give a F. And I was like, at 12, what
That's
do I
so
know
what?
about
That's what.
you? You just didn't care.
Yeah.
You didn't care what anyone thought of you. You just did you.
It's like you
You
flatter me, but like
and
it's
I'm going, but I was 12 and I didn't really think about it. I was just doing what came naturally. You know, I think I went to my high school reunion. I
mm,
walk in. This
yeah.
is funny because my husband was just like, I don't know whether to punch this guy in the face or what, but he, I come in and he's like, Lady Gata. I started cracking up. He was in his cups a little bit, and he was like,
Yeah.
"You don't never change.
Mm.
You never change. You would stay exactly the same. You just don't care, do you?" I was like,
You're like, okay. You're like,
"Oh,
all
do you
right.
too? Yeah, okay, yeah." But they expect this from me. The thing is that they expect, like, the people around me have come to expect and accept that I am who I am. There might be somebody going, well, do you really think you should wear that here, type of thing, but I'm just like, really, you know me by now.
Yeah.
This is what you're gonna get. This is as toned down as it's gonna get for me. Can you leave me alone?
Mhm.
But as I got older, as you get older, you find your people, you find your tribe, you find the people you click with, and they, if they're really about that life, they support you. They make sure that, they have your 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They have all of it. They make sure that you're covered. And even if you guys aren't into the same stuff, you still have each other's back, because y'all are on the outside. Y'all are on the outside. It's like the slogan that come up for hip hop superheroes when it was the Alliance for Alternative and Eclectic Hip Hop. That was what it was first.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want us in their treehouse, so we built our own. you
Mm-hmm.
know and then we're it's about building your own communities, your own tree houses. You
Mm-hmm.
find those people and you start to feel comfortable. You go, okay, maybe it's not just me that's this alternative person that is into all of these things and is otaku, and you know there are more people like me out there. you know and that's good. That's good, because they know how it feels. They've been in the trenches. I mean, it's different here, I think, in Newark, because
Yeah.
trying to find the people are here.
Mm-hmm.
The nerdy people, the blurty people, the otakus, they are here. They just want to go everywhere else.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's true. That is.
They don't want to do anything here. We've been trying to get stuff established here for the longest
Yeah.
time. They want to go everywhere but here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult, but we're not giving up. We're going to keep trying to
Mm-hmm.
bring this community together. And it is events like ChemFest. Like, I think it's the only one really left here
Yeah.
that lasted, that
Mm-hmm.
outlasted everything else that tried to do it. It's still here.
Mm-hmm.
And it says a lot that the city, Newark just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why we're like this,
Yeah.
but we are. And you start to wonder. Sometimes I'm wondering, should I go somewhere else?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a fighter. You know, I feel like I'm like just really trying to fight the good fight and get this thing started here. But it's a relief to find the people where you find them,
Yeah.
basically. So.
Yeah, and I'm glad you spoke on it, because sometimes people have asked me, and I'm like, you kind of have to be here to understand. It's not that we're not trying. It's more of a thing of like, once you know the person is like an otaku, then they open up. But like
Yeah,
most times they're like,
everyone's guarded.
yeah, everybody's guard is just like, am I gonna get made fun of? Am I gonna get dragged?
Right.
And then finally, if you're like the chill person, just like, oh yeah, I like Attack on Titan, like, oh my god, and it's like, and we're like, we're in 2026, like,
And we still have to do this. I hate it when, like, I would hate, like, when somebody would be like, I'd have my ear earphones on or whatever, like, out in the street. And, oh, what you listening to? I would be like, nothing, or nothing you like. That was like the default
yeah,
answer. You
yeah,
know.
that's true. That is the default answer, because you're just like, oh boy, like I might have to fight if I don't say it.
Oh God. I think I was in recording school once, right? I was in was it editing lab? Mixed
Mhm.
lab or editing lab, one or the other, right? And the teacher wasn't there, so everybody was just kind of hanging around doing whatever. And at the time I was listening to something. I think it was old school song. And the thing about editing lab is that if you're at the front of the classroom, the person who's at the front can like blow up your spot and have everybody hear what you're listening to. So I'm
Oh
listening to it, and I guess he felt like he was going to embarrass me and be like, "Oh, what you listening to?" Click, and it's something that's perfectly acceptable.
yeah.
So this is the kind of subtle microaggression bullying I'm talking about, because he just knew he
Mhm.
was going to hear something crazy. But he was like, "Oh, I," and went on to somebody else. So it's like, wow, do you feel better? You know, like,
It's like, do you feel
jeez.
good about yourself? Like, what's
I'm
going?
saying, would you like a tissue? I mean, I can't. Jeez, let me listen to my stuff in peace. But you get those people. They just, it seems like in the past, I don't know, maybe 10 years even, it's that recent that it seems to be a little, what were we saying? The geek is chic. That was what my husband used to say, geek is chic. And I'm like, yeah, it's cute now. I mean, stuff that I've been doing for years is seemingly, and this has been the story of my life. I'm telling you right now. I would do something, get laughed at. 6 months to a year later, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
suddenly fine to look like how I was looking 6 months to a year ago,
Hmm.
or stuff I was into. It's crazy, and it still happens. You know, um, like for example, oh God, I really didn't want to say this, but there's a song on Got the title track of Gata City,
Hmm.
right? Watashi wa kuro neko desu, like Japanese. People are hearing that now, and then all of a sudden it's, oh, that mainstream rapper that everybody likes who's from Texas.
Hmm.
No, that is not. I did not get it from her.
Yeah.
Okay. I did that in 2011.
Mm.
So yeah, like it's stuff like that. It drives me crazy. I wrote a blog about it once. Like two black girls, God forbid black girls do something outrageous,
Yeah.
And if we do, it's like we're all the same, you know. Oh, who are you trying to be? Black
Mhm.
people are so guilty of that. I think
Yeah.
we're more guilty of that than anybody else. Who are you supposed to be? Who are you trying to be? This person, that person? No, I'm pretty much trying to be me, you
Yeah.
know? And it's older people, it's like younger people, it's like they're trying to take you down a few notches by saying stuff like that. Who you supposed to be? Oh, you trying to be like, no, I'm trying to be like me. You
Yeah.
know, it's just that you're late to the party. You're late to class. Someone else. It's like, what was it? My dad said you're like he would be like, you're like this celebrity with money, with no money. That's you with money.
Mm. Wow.
I would just laugh like, okay, dad. But yeah, it's tough out here for people like us, but we find each other and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's suddenly, yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. True. And I wanted to ask, how did you get the opportunity to have some of your music? I believe it's at least four songs was in the at least 1 to 2 seasons of East Los High, and also
Mm-hmm.
at some point they named you as one of like the four artists to check out like from the series.
Yeah, I
And
was shocked.
how did you get the opportunity? What was the impact for you to be part of like the show musically and everything like that?
Yeah, so they found me.
Mm.
They said they found, because I asked, I was like, how in the world did you
Did
find me?
you find?
Because they came to me, they sent me an email. They said, we heard some of your music and we very much like to use it on a show called East Los High. We have a all Latinx cast crew.
Hmm.
It's groundbreaking. It tells all the gritty stories, blah, 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 yakety schmackety. Our second season is coming up. And I'm like, okay. I wasn't going to say no. I knew nothing about it. Nothing. Nothing. I was
Yeah.
just like, hey, opportunity. Let's do it. I said, sure, why not? So we made the arrangements, signed all the papers. And while that was going on, I decided to, get a Hulu subscription so I could see what I was getting into. Because I go on Facebook and I'm like, hey, anybody ever hear of East Los High? And
Hmm.
somebody goes, yeah, it's like 90210, but with Mexicans, which was not helping. I was like, wow.
That's specific. Like,
I'm saying, I was like, what? So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get a subscription and look at it myself. And was hooked because the first season was like 24 episodes long. I sat there and watched the entire thing. And I was like, I'm gonna be a part of this? Okay. You know? And then I was already hooked. You're like, well, God, what happens next? So they literally found me. And the second season airs.
mhm.
The first episode that my song was in, I was like, I can't even hear that. That's in the background. Like like they were in the gym. It was like some gym, some school dance or something going on, right?
Mhm.
And the song was being played in the gym,
Yeah.
and the characters were talking in the hallway. So I was like,
You're like, I was like, all right. I
I
mean,
think that's it, you know. But I got luckier as the season went on. Like, it actually ended up in a transition from one scene to the next, and I was like,
mm,
"Yeah, oh my god, that's good." And then the last one that they added, I was like, "Wow, I got 3 whole episodes." I'm like happy, you know, grateful. The last one you could really hear it because they played like a whole chunk, and it was happening during a pivotal scene. So I'm going, "There's no way anybody's going to forget this song." I was happy about that. And the third season, it ended up not only because like I was going for it. Like there's in the show, right? There is a dance. It's centered partially around a dance crew from East Los Angeles High School, right? And they were called the Bomb Squad, and you wanted that Bomb Squad placement
yeah.
because you knew somebody was going to remember. Hey, what was that song that the Bomb Squad was dancing to? Um, I didn't get it, but I did get like they had a dance competition and the rival team used one of my songs and they had a whole routine to it and I was just like, "Oh my god," you know, excited. And then they played it during the credits. So I was like, "Yeah, that is good placement." So I was excited about that. And um I caught the sync bug from there on, you know, because I was
Mm,
like, "Oh my god, what else can I get it in? What else can I get it on?" You know, my one of the songs actually was part of a thing, but it never materialized. Some guy
mhm,
wanted to bring back like 80s style WWF
mm.
type
Okay.
stuff, and I say WWF because 80s, right? Not WWE. He wanted to bring back that kind of thing to wrestling, and one of my songs was accepted for
Yeah.
that.
Mhm,
And he, you know, did a thing on each band, and I got on there, and it never materialized. So technically, that was my first thing. But East Los, I didn't think I could hope for anything bigger than that. I just was like, wow. So I started doing my research.
mhm,
And ended, you know, I was just glad that I got to be a part of something. You know, it lasted 4 seasons, I think.
mhm.
You know, it's still up. I still get royalties
That's
from it.
awesome.
So yeah, it's just something I was really happy to be a part of. You know, in my small way. um, what else? No, but there are other things that I ended up on because I, you know, got sought out. I'm on a site called Sound Better,
Yeah.
and yeah, I do a it's like session musicians, producers, artists. They all on there, singers, all kind of people. You know, people can come and ask for their services for
Mhm,
their projects, and
mhm,
I've done a few projects through music libraries, and some of the stuff has gotten on stuff like TMZ and what else? Basketball
mhm,
Wives, Orlando, Love Island UK, stuff like
mhm.
that. You know, and it's just like you want those placements because you know someone is going to hear it and go, "Yeah, who was that?" You know. But they you know with East Los, they definitely found me. They found me, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
That's awesome. And you actually touched upon something that I was gonna ask about with the sound better and like how that experience has been, and for people that may be out there that want to hire you for that with sound better, like how it works.
Yeah, Sound Better. Basically, it's people have their profiles listed there with what they do, what their credits are, what their rates are, and you basically just go and find the person's profile, send them a message. They send you a proposal of how much you know they'd be willing to work for. They fund the job, you do the job,
Hmm.
you do any revisions, you have to set that yourself because like some people, and I learned that the hard way too, some people will try and make you do 85,000 revisions and you're like, nah, I ain't trying to do all of that, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to put my foot down a few times for things because I was getting asked for stuff that made no sense. Like, you know, yeah, we need a male vocal. Do I look like a male to you? You know, like why am I doing stuff that it's stuff that I don't do at all. They were asking. So I had to like really you have to really stipulate what you are
Mm,
willing and not willing to do. Or and how many revisions, you know, you have to tell them this stuff. A lot of people there are people out there who will try and take advantage.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be like, they think you're green, you don't know what's going on. And
Mhm.
I make sure that these people know up front, no, this is not that type of party. I'm a professional. I do what I do. You get that a lot though. You get that everywhere, not just here in Sound Better. But that's how it works. You just show up there, look for who you need. And I need an engineer, search engineer. You need somebody local or close to you. You search for them. Somebody specific. It's very tailored. For artists,
Mhm.
it's free to join. You
Okay.
can get on there and do your thing. But they claim that if you want a better placement, you pay for premium.
Mhm.
Premium used to be a reasonable price, but I don't think so anymore. And it's also a vetted thing, so you'll be
Oh.
waiting a while to see if whether or not they choose you for their premium platform.
Mm.
Honestly, I have not seen any difference between free and premium. I wanted to try it again to give a litmus test to see because it is $99 a month.
Oh shit.
I'm saying, I think I lasted 5 months and I was like, nope, okay. Mm, you know, that's too much money. I mean, it used to be 35 at one point. I don't know what happened.
To 19.
I'm saying I don't get it. Even $59 you could kind of see, but
Yeah.
$99 a month, no. And I
Yeah.
didn't see much difference. I wasn't getting the uptick wasn't there wasn't an uptick in the volume of work I was getting. Not really.
Mhm.
They tried to get me to stick around. Yeah, it gets better, and I'm like, bruh. So I'm still on there. I still get, interesting jobs from time to time.
Yeah.
It's fun. This is another thing. This is one of the things I was telling you that if Prime hadn't asked me to do
Mhm.
uh, Seven Deadly X's, I probably would never have hooked up the microphone.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't be doing this. And, I was doing cheerleading stuff. That was fun. I actually enjoyed that. I didn't realize there was a whole industry dedicated to just making cheer music. You know,
Mm.
they say that they did it because they kept getting in trouble at all of these competitions for using other people's music without licensing it properly. They do those big old mega mixes or whatever.
Mhm.
But the market is in making music for specifically for the cheer teams that are like doing their thing. And I was like, yo, this is actually cool. You know, and then it's like you wonder, why does it pay so little for the session musician? Because they use 85 people on every track. You got like five rappers, six singers, it, some guy in the background yelling, and they all get. And I'm just like, wow, all right, this is a whole industry. I think it's cool though. They found a way to make it work. You know, but there's been some really interesting jobs on there, and I'm grateful that I actually got to be a part of it. And it pays. It pays the bills. When it pays the bills, it pays the bills. So
That's great. And also, I wanted to ask about embracing like the Afro Latina side of you. A lot of your songs, you incorporate, that part of yourself. And what I also find cool is that you have a affirmation coloring book for
yeah.
like little girls color me negra. So I want to ask, what has been the impact just first, being able to embrace that side of your music? What have you felt for yourself and the people listening that may also resonate? And how did you come up with making the coloring book, and what is the impact you've seen from making the coloring book?
It's slow going with the coloring book. The thing was that I think I looked out there and I did not see anything specifically geared towards Afro Latina girls. You saw your black girls coloring book, which, works too.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't see anything specifically for Afro Latina girls. And I said, that's a niche that probably needs filling. So I decided I would make a cute little coloring book, because I was thinking about that whole I love my hair thing.
Mhm.
And when that happened, that I guess for people who don't know, there was Sesame Street, and they came up with a cute little song. I love my hair. They had a little Muppet with like Afro textured hair, and she was singing the song and like doing the things. And it
Yeah.
turned out that the song was written by, I think his name is Joey Matrasso.
Mhm.
He adopted an African girl,
Yeah.
and his daughter, I
Mhm.
don't know what her name is, but she's a pretty little girl.
Mhm.
And she went through that phase that we all go through with the I wish I had hair like Barbie, you
Mm.
know. And
Yeah.
he did not like that. Now Joey, and it was interesting because he's a white man,
Mhm.
and he saw this and was like unacceptable,
Mhm.
and he decided to write a song for his daughter about loving your hair and how versatile it is and all the things that it can do, and it's like her superpower. And I just was like, man, if this song was around when I was younger, I don't think I ever would have gone through all the struggles.
Yeah. That
you
you had.
know, I would have saw this Muppet and would have been like, hell yeah. You know, I love my hair. I don't need all of this stuff,
Mm.
but it it reminded me of that because I was like, okay, who's going to talk to these girls? Okay, you can say yes, they're black, but they're not just black.
Mhm.
They have a whole other experience going on
Mhm.
that's not quite the same. So I said, all right, I'm going to make this coloring book. I want them to have a coloring book too.
Mhm.
And it would have been, it's the coloring book I would have loved to have seen, you know? So that's the only reason why I did it. I just wanted it to be out there and for someone to, enjoy it and show it to their little mini and say, hey, look, here's a book. Color the pictures, do you see yourself here? That kind of thing. That was all I really wanted.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I would say, what was the impact for you? Just being able to express it in your music.
Um I'm still like I have to relearn the language. It's funny because like Prime and I talk about this all the time. Prime is Boricua. He can't speak Spanish either. Well, he wasn't raised speaking Spanish. That's like one of the realities that people, face.
Mhm.
A lot of Latinx households don't speak Spanish.
Mhm.
The parents might, but the kids don't. You'd be surprised how many people are out there, like that. So I kind of grew up speaking it off and on, so
Mhm.
now I'm like thoroughly in the Duolingo trenches and trying not to get sniped by the owl, like learning it again. So the best way for me to do that, I just put it in my music. It comes naturally. It's not like I'm going out of my way trying to find things to say. Um, but I'm gonna be honest, specifically with
Yeah.
Yo puedo y tú no, that was me trying to get that bomb squad placement.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. One of the interviews you did.
For real, because I said, yo, that's gotta go in there. That's gotta go in there. Duolingo needs to get.
Give you a small. I mean, listen. You never know. You probably manifested it for you this month.
Hey, sometimes he tends to say that's my bestie C Blaze. He dances. He's part of the Clouder and he dances with us. Yeah, he tends to say things and they tend to happen. So say it louder, bro. No, but yeah, that it's just organic. It's just it goes in the music. It's what I'm feeling at the time. And I guess as I, get better again, it'll probably end up high. It'll probably end up in there even more. You know. I remember one of my people that I rhymed with when I was like younger, he was like, why did you put Spanish? And I said, because it belongs there.
Oh my god. Oh my
That's
god.
why. I was
That's so.
like, he said, it's not necessary. I'm like, why is it not necessary?
Mhm.
You know, it's part of like cool. It's part of what I'm going for here. You
Mhm.
know, he had megaphones. Oh God, yes, louder. But it belongs. You know, you might not think it belongs for whatever reason you think it doesn't belong, but it belongs. You know, so it goes, and it's my record, so be quiet.
No, exactly. It's your music. You do what you want, and you find your people. So I understand that.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I wanted to ask about the tribute, the Sailor Senshi tribute you did in the name of the moon, like how that came to be.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Awesomeness Prime again. He said, "Yeah, I wanted to do a song about the Sailor Scouts and you know friendship kind of song." And I was like, "Okay, what you got?" So he sent me the music, and I had been sitting with it for a long time. Like trying to figure out what to do, and is what you hear is exactly what I heard in my head. And it was really surreal for me to actually hear it back the way I heard it in my
Hmm.
head. And I was so happy that it finally came to fruition. And the Moonies love it. At least the ones I've met, they seem to like it a lot. And it was just such a fun thing to do and a real privilege to get to make that song. It's received well. I like it. I like that people like it. If I could do that for them, that's cool.
And I wanted to talk about like some of like your inspirations for your music because when I was like reading the different bios and everything, because I do like '90s hip hop, so when I heard like reminiscent of like De La Soul and like Eminem, Janet, and then like Left Eye and like De La Soul, I was like, I like that. I don't know. I was like, I like that. Like, I hear all these influences and how you're influenced by like new wave and all that. So for people that may not
Yeah.
know like all your inspirations, you can share them.
Um, let's see. Well, yeah, New Wave was like I got the best compliment once like years ago. I'm talking like, oh god. I think they were listening to Like I Do, You Should Dance With Me. And they were saying this is a new wave hip hop song, and I don't think I've ever heard anything like that, and I wouldn't have thought that they had gone together well at all. But you did it, and it's amazing. And I was like, oh yay, I'm glad you like it. Ironically, my dad didn't like that one.
That's great. That's great.
I don't know why, but and then I had someone tell me that it was the song they listened to after they broke up with their partner.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, what?
You're,
Why that one?
you're like, I'm flattered, but like, wait, wait, hold on.
I guess they were just like, hey, I'm dancing because that's what the song is about. I don't know, maybe role play, put themselves in the role of the protagonist in the song, like there's a guy and there's this girl and I'm competing and he's going home with me. Bye. I don't know, maybe it worked for them. So, but yeah, that oh god. I I just I don't know. I don't know, just the best thing is to like, be able to write those write those things. um get them out of you, put them on paper, put them into the microphone, put them into the machine, and come up with something that people enjoy. you know I've been privileged to do that.
Yeah, that's very true. As I said, period. Period.
Period.
And I wanted to ask about, going way back to Gata City and what went into that, first project and how you felt, what you learned from that project.
um let's see. Well, I learned that it is really cool when I learned that people don't expect much of independent musicians. I learned that when we had physical copies of the CD. Because I would hand someone, be like, oh yeah, I got a CD. Oh, really? And I hand them a copy of the CD and they're looking at it like, what is this? I guess they were expecting, because we did see somebody literally doing this,
Mm.
folding up CDs that they had recorded on their computer into paper folders and handing those out. I don't think they expected a whole jewel case, with the 6 panel thingamajiggy in it. I don't think in a printed, like custom printed thing. I don't think they expected that. But it is really crazy to actually hold something like that in your hand and say, I did this. I was a part of this. I had people who helped me with this. And I learned that that came into being um, on the well, okay, let me start at the beginning. I it was a dance project at first. Like my dad was trying to make like house music type of deal stuff.
Hmm.
And it had a different singer. And it seemed like the more the project went along, the more the hip hop monster was rearing her head.
Hmm.
And some people wasn't into that.
Hmm.
So it was 4 songs. There was a guy who talked to my dad and said that he liked the songs, but he wanted me to re-record the whole dang thing over.
Mm.
So I had to re-record those songs over,
Yeah.
singing and everything. And I was like, God help me, why did I do that? But um, we did them over. The guy flaked. So
Mm.
here I am with these songs, and they're on. I got them online. Someone at the Kansai Music Conference finds me and asks me if I want to come to Osaka, Japan
Mhm.
and perform out there.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, but they don't pay for you to get there. They don't help you out with any of that type of stuff. So, the label, the
Yeah.
parents, let's say that the rents, aka the rents, was not willing to pay for me and my then time boyfriend. He was my boyfriend at the time,
Mhm.
was not willing to pay that. So I didn't go. So what happened was they said, you know what, we're going to sink the money that we would have sent you to Japan with into your first album.
Mm.
We're gonna do your album. You're next, because
Mm.
the previous project was Felicia Moss. Rest in peace, Felicia Moss.
Mm.
She's Whitney Houston's cousin. They did a project with her,
Mm. Okay.
and it wasn't the best experience. Let's just say that. So I was the next artist on the roster, and we recorded Gata City. We took those 4 songs. We wrote other songs around those 4 songs, and we kind of, made it a cohesive kind of story and put it out. And while I was doing this, a young man from Japan heard one of the songs and asked if he could remix it. So we included it on
Mm.
the album as well.
Mhm.
And that's how it came into being. That's why it sounds like it's all over the place. Besides the fact that the music that I'm into is also all over the place. So, you're gonna hear some of everything. I actually did like are you familiar with genius.com.
Mhm.
The lyrics I put there, I actually kind of told some of the stories.
Mm.
I took them from my blog because I think I broke down my album for people. This is why it is how it is. You know, because I listen to so many things, and I can't help but have it reflect me. But yeah, that's how it came into being. And it was my birthday present, and we released it on my birthday. And so far so good. I'm proud of it. I'm still proud of it. So
Yeah, of course. I just feel like, especially that, like, when you get that push for that first album, I feel like it's always gonna be like a special like place in your heart.
yeah, soft spot for that album. Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
how it came into being off of those 4 songs. And I probably wouldn't have recorded the album if that opportunity to go to Japan hadn't come up. So
Mm. That makes sense. But I mean, sometimes everything happens for a reason, so I'm glad that
yeah,
you were able to do it.
yeah, you're right. Everything does happen for a reason, and I
Yeah.
can always revisit it. I guess.
Yeah, of course. And I wanted to ask, what are some of the lessons you learned along the way to get to where you are now?
Specifically, just in what,
In
or just
general,
in general?
just in general.
Okay.
Yeah.
Read everything 3 times. If if someone hands you a piece of paper that you have to agree things, make sure you read it and then read it and read it again and again and again and again until you understand it. Do not sign anything.
Mhm.
Because these people are out here, they are predatory and they are trying to get you, especially if it's like music related or entertainment related. Um, Make sure you know who's in your circle. Um, Make sure that everyone in your circle is for you and for each other, you know, because there are people, I think I've said this before, there are people who will hold your hand, have you, guiding you with one hand and stabbing you in the back with the other. You know, people will take the bricks that are thrown at you and try to build their own thing with it. You
Mhm.
know, you have to watch who's for you and who's not for you. Because if you don't have that support system, it's going to be a hard road for you. I know that definitely that advice I got, go where you're appreciated. That's important because, you got to find it's always comes back to you got to find your people. You
Mhm.
need your people. I don't like what you're doing. Well, it's not for you, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't make it for you. I made it for the people who it's for.
Mhm.
And sometimes you have to find those people.
Mhm.
Um, be persistent. Um, Definitely be persistent. Be consistent. That's important. Some of us still struggle with that. I know I do.
Mhm.
But consistency is important because, if you're out there and you stay out there, it's kind of hard to not notice you. People will see you and people will understand who you are. Um, I've learned that branding is everything. That is an important part of developing as an artist. I was relieved that I had already had a lot of it right. Like it's saying from a scale like 100%, I had like maybe 90% of it right. So I took a branding course, and that's what they were telling me. You know, Sometimes the only person you will be able to rely upon is yourself,
Mhm.
especially in the beginning until you find your tribe and those people who will are willing to help you. But even then, you still have to learn a lot of things. You got to wear a lot of hats and put on a lot of gloves in order to do, you know, what you need to do to get ahead. And sometimes it is luck, and sometimes it is who you know.
Mhm.
But you got to find those people, you know.
Mhm.
Sometimes you get lucky and they fall in your lap, but not always,
Yeah, not always. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to just align yourself with the right folks. And as soon as you find who those folks are, some people come for a season, some people come for a lifetime. But you definitely got to figure out who is for you and who is not.
Yeah.
That's important, you
Yeah.
know.
That's even something I had to learn too. It's like who's your people, who's really messing with you like that.
That part,
Well,
yeah.
I could say fucking with you because we're past 30.
Right? Who are those people, Not those the bandwagoning people. You don't want them. You
Yeah,
know. You want the people who like if the car breaks down in the middle of the
the road or something like that. Like who's gonna
this
be
is
like,
gonna
I got
sound
you.
this is gonna be oddly specific because it is. If the car breaks down in the middle of the Holland Tunnel and some random guy pulls you out with a rope, you want those people.
Yeah,
See, Blaze knows what I'm talking about. You
oh
want
man,
those people to have your back. You don't want the people that are going to be like, well, see you later. You're on your own.
yeah, that's
No.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. You want metaphorical or literal car.
Hmm.
You need the people who are going to like navigate with you.
Yeah, that's true. And No, because like they're like, I know.
I see him laughing.
And the question I asked on the show is about support in the blurred community. I asked, what do we do well to support each other so far? What can we do better? This question is based on everybody's own experience. That everybody has a different answer to the question.
Oh wow. I cannot say what I was first thinking of saying because I'm already like in trouble as it is, I think. Because sometimes I'm honest. I'm to the point, I'm too chronologically advanced to be like not honest, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
What is happening? Okay. But we really gotta stop trying to get in each other's way.
Hmm.
I mean, there are some people out there, like, here it is again, the people who are for you and the people who are not for you, right? You gotta be careful about some of those people because in the past year, I've seen so much drama
Hmm.
going on in the blur community, and I've just been like, why are y'all like this?
Hmm.
You know? One thing that we could stand to do better, and now this is about as close as I'm going to get to what I really would like to say, but I'm not going to say. Stop gatekeeping.
Yeah, that part.
Stop it.
Yeah.
God, I mean, it's not like who made you the grand poobah of everything? You know,
Yeah.
who told you that you could throw stones when your house is made of glass?
Hmm.
You know, stop gatekeeping for real. Like there is room for everyone here. You know, you need to take chances on people who are not necessarily freaking the numbers. You
Hmm.
know, some people is all like about clout.
Hmm.
Cloud, chase the cloud. You know, there are people out there that you are overlooking, myself included,
Yeah.
because y'all want the numbers. You
Hmm.
know, y'all want y'all want to put asses in the seats. You know, fine, which is all well and good, but to the detriment of somebody who might have been trying to be down with you from day one.
Hmm.
It's not and they know they belong there or they know and just like don't sleep on people because they don't have the numbers. You
Yeah.
know, um, because like you sleep on the wrong people. Sometimes you're the one that's in for the rude awakening.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know, and it's like they call safe spaces, safe blurred spaces. Trouble my middle
I
name.
bet.
Not all of the safe spaces for blurs are actually safe spaces for blurs. That's
Mm.
all I'm gonna say.
Hmm.
That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave it at that because it's true. I've seen it, and they're like pitch themselves that's what they are, and
Mm.
it turns out that that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
You know, um, y'all got to stop being so backbiting.
Mm.
Y'all got to really when y'all say y'all here to support each other, actually do that. Actually support each other.
Mm.
Um, there's elitists out there.
Mm.
That's the other thing. There's the people who are elitist. It needs more open minds. I guess that's the bottom line, honestly.
Yeah.
There needs to be more open minded. The blurredom needs to have a whole mental, spiritual, collective makeover or something. Like stop for real. Some people get in positions of power and they think that you know, Grand Puma they get in positions of power and they get drunk with it.
Mm.
And, you're like, bro, you weren't here yesterday,
Mm.
you know. But some people are just, I don't know. The shade has to stop too. The
Yeah.
shade has got to go.
Hmm.
How are we supposed to, like, build anything when we're too busy knocking each other's things down?
Mm.
You're supposed to help, you're not supposed to hinder. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No, no, it's not just you. This is why I asked the question because when I first start, well, mind you, I never used to stream. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because like I would always have conversations with people to the side, people that
Mm-hmm.
I support and they support me back. They know I tend to reach out to them, via DM and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. And for some people, they were just like, oh, we got to do better to support the like smaller creators and like each other because we feel like we're not seen.
Yeah.
I I only have I have less than 3,000 followers. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
Same.
and it's kind of like when I do the show and like I've had people like what 178 followers all the way up to like higher than me. It doesn't really matter. But then what I've found is like some of the smaller creators, it's like give them a budget is over. The content is already there, but it's just
Yeah.
people tend to overlook them because oh, they don't have the numbers. Did you look at the content? That's the question.
Right.
So
I mean, somebody could have got those numbers any old kind of way, you know? So that one con.
but yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it's important to for people to. I feel like look at the talent, not the numbers. I know in a perfect
Yeah.
world, but that's what I feel like. It's the talent, not just the numbers. So
Yeah, whether or not they are a good fit, and in some cases, especially in like the anime spaces, there's a little bit of that, I don't know, maybe xenophobia type of thing going on, a little bit of that. But because you might not physically represent, what all you are. You don't look like this. You don't look like that.
yeah,
You don't belong in this space.
yeah,
That's not, necessarily cool.
yeah,
But and I know I've been overlooked for different reasons, colorism, racism, classism, a whole bunch of different things I know I've been overlooked for, you know, and it glaring, this is not even a blurred community, but sometimes, because, there's still that colorism there, but people are so, even us, people love seeing black art forms
yeah,
when anybody else but black people are
yeah,
doing it.
mhm,
I mean, come on.
yeah,
You know what I'm talking about.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So I've seen it. And it's kind of sad, but you know, some people take it back and they're like, okay, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do what you're doing, but we're gonna do it our way, you
Hmm.
know. And it works, and some people, just embrace that. But I don't know. I really, like I said, I think we need to do better. I think we need to support each other more, and not just say it and don't be just performative. The whole tragedy with the cosplayer,
Yeah,
that some of that left a bad taste in my mouth
hmm,
because I saw it and I was just kind of like, some of these people are really
yeah,
not about this,
hmm,
you know. And then there was a whole lot of infighting while it was going
yeah,
on, and
hmm,
that was upsetting because it was like, here we are, this is why stuff like this happens, because
yeah,
y'all can't get along, and they know who they are. Like,
yeah,
are y'all really upset that this happened, or are you just saying this because, clout and content?
yeah. No,
you
yeah,
know
yeah,
it was disturbing, the amount of stuff that was going on. you
yeah,
know I kept silent. I just watched,
yeah.
and I
No,
saw
yeah.
people's relationships implode and all kind of stuff, and I was just like, oh my god, okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I understand. And before I even go to the next question, like I've talked about it. I've been on podcasts about it.
Mm-hmm.
But from November until I don't mind being transparent. I know the show is about transparency, usually for other people, not myself. But you, I from November to December, I had a period where I didn't want to create because of what was going on.
Right.
I pushed it because the commitment to what I was doing, but
Mm-hmm.
considering some of the content was heavily in the community and seeing what was going on, I wasn't I wasn't really for it. I was still doing the show, but I took a break from the open calls, and for the people that know, that's why I didn't publicly put it on my pages.
Okay.
I didn't know if I was going to attract the wrong people, considering that people were taking sides, and I won't bring up anything. So that's why from November to December I took a break.
Yeah.
Once I felt like things calmed down and it was Black History Month was coming up, then I did it again.
Okay.
I kind of did it behind the scenes. No, like if I knew that people were in a positive space, then I did it. I didn't want to say anything at that time because it was sensitive, but that's the reason why I took a step back from publicly posting about coming on the show until I felt like things calmed down. So I 100% understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to take that step back, you know?
Hmm.
You got to do it for your own sanity.
Yeah, that's true. But in more positive stuff, what are some of the goals that you have for yourself going forward in your career? It could be long term, short term, whatever you want to share.
One of the things I really would like to do, I mean, I know I just left MagFest, but I would love to play the main stage at MagFest.
Yeah.
That would be nice. One thing I wanted to do was actually bring hip hop superheroes to MagFest. Because we did do the show. You know, we were part of the Newark Arts Festival.
Hmm.
I asked, you know, because the reason why I asked for that, now that I think about it, is because they were doing 50 years of hip hop as the
Hmm.
theme, and I said, oh, there is no way I'm not going to be a part of this somehow. No, 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 no. So I asked them, and they were like, "Oh, we're glad to see you're participating." And I'm going, "Y'all know who I am," but we threw it in one of the spaces, and it was fun. And you know, the weather was horrible, but people still enjoyed it, and people still came. And you know, I wanted to do it again, so I'm kind of working on possibly. I would like to bring it to MagFest. That's one of the places I would like to bring it to. But
Hmm.
that's one goal. A lot of collabs I'm hoping to do this year
Hmm.
with some of the nerdcore people at the cool kids table. Also, EP. That's another thing I'm hoping to do.
Hmm.
But the immediate thing is that I may have a surprise drop in a few days.
Okay.
It's a dance, a line dance type of song.
Mm. Okay.
So, you know, and it's tying in with Black History Month and Afrofuturism. So, you know, make your guesses as to what you think it is. But surprise drop might be coming in a few days. So
All
keep
right.
on lookout for that on my Bandcamp.
Just rub your hands together like, yeah.
Moo ha ha ha. Yeah, right. Insert evil laughter.
And one of the last questions I'll ask, and shout out to Trey Digger from Heroes for Hire,
Yes.
and they're one of like the acts that you're associated with. So I wanted to ask, how did you guys meet? How did you end up, working together here and there and stuff like that? They were also on the show, and full transparency, I knew about you already, but they suggested you to be on the show. So
Ah, you guys rock. This technically we met sort of, or they saw me at least at at a J1 cosplay prom in Philadelphia. Uh, I performed at the cosplay prom, and the next time I ran into them was Prime. It was Prime's doing. You know,
mm,
DJ Awesomeness Prime strikes again. you know, so it became like we became kind of a family. You know, and just talking to each other, and we did a tour. The Kawaii Kunai, that's the label
mm,
that Prime has.
mm.
Kawaii Kunai Winter Cospocalypse Tour. So we did, I think maybe 4 dates, three
Hmm.
or 4 dates. I think there was a fourth that was supposed to happen, but it didn't happen because
Okay.
of COVID or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but we were on tour together basically, and we hung out and we got to do some shows together, and um, at one I think I did DerpyCon, and Prime and I had concocted the we should do for the win at
Yeah.
DerpyCon, and it was kind of a surprise for the people at DerpyCon. So we just did that for the first time, and people were actually asking, "Yo, where's this version of that song?" For the win is for the win is on my second album, and
Oh,
it's like myself, my first rap partner who's my god brother, and my actual brother,
yeah.
six Pomona.
Hmm.
And we did the song together,
Yeah.
and I said, well, let me do it with my other brothers, so to
Mm.
speak. So they were like, when we need this out here. So Prime decided to release it. We did
Yeah.
it. We did it officially, and we released it.
Yeah.
So it's basically a remix, and we just kind of been rocking together ever since. We have yet to do another collab. I'm talking to Trey. I've been talking to Trey kind of a little bit like, yeah, let's do this thing. So I think we're gonna do something hopefully soon. I
Hmm.
hope. Fingers crossed. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we met. Yeah, and I'm glad that we do get to work together. Because I always miss them when they're gone.
Mm.
They're hilarious.
Well, yeah, I think it will happen. Y'all are real busy, but I know eventually y'all gonna get back together for something.
Yeah, yeah, they're just so fun. I mean, I think the first time I actually watched them do what they do, I was just like, bro, the charisma alone is nuts. Like, how do I get there? And they're so supportive of their own people. Like the people that are like them, and they make sure they make sure that everyone knows it is okay to be exactly who they are,
Hmm.
and that is important. That to me, that's the message that they bring. That's their strongest message. It's okay to be who you are. You
Yeah.
know, we're these people. You know, be who you are and embrace that. Do the thing. I
Def-
love that. I love that about them. And they just have so much fun on stage. And now that they've expanded into the Heroes League, it's just so much worse. So they're just amazing. They're so good on stage.
hmm. Yeah, makes sense. And one of the last questions I'll ask is, how has this career you've been on, how has it helped you as a person?
Um, more resilient. you
Mm.
know. I mean, I've been resilient, I guess, since I was born. But and I'm not saying that just to be facetious. I was not supposed to live. You know,
Mm.
I was born very small, and I fought. I've been fighting since day one. So but being in entertainment, it's a completely different thing altogether. You have to build a thick skin. You don't always succeed in having everything bounce off said thick skin,
Mhm.
but it definitely teaches you, you know, it teaches you how to develop it. And it also teaches you how to, find the people who are full of crap. you know, um, I've always been that person that likes to help other people up, you know. And people are always shocked when I do, how did you? And I go, well, I did this, and this. And they're like, you're so forthcoming with that information. Most people don't
Mm.
want to tell it. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not that person. If I can help you, I'm going to tell you, you
Mm.
know, this is what I did.
Yeah.
If it works for you, good. If it doesn't, then we find something else. But, this is all the stuff. I've been known to give people whole caches full of information just so that I believe in them that hard. Here's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of stuff, that I have. Maybe
Mm.
it'll work for you, you
Yeah.
know. But it's taught me community, you
Mhm.
know. There are people out there. There are people. It's taught me to uh know my worth. You know, you got to know your worth,
Mm.
and be able to stand up for that. You
Mm.
know,
Mhm.
it's not always easy. I'm
No.
not going to say that every time I stand up for myself it works, but they know where I stand.
Yeah.
You're going to know that part. you know, It's frustrating sometimes, when people operate the way they operate. There are people who do not value the entertainment. They do not value the creators. They don't think they rate pay. They don't think they rate the same things that other sorts of creators might rate. You know, and then if you stand up for yourself, suddenly you're difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You're a diva.
Yeah.
You think you all of that. You know, that kind of, no. What they think is that they are worth what they're asking. That's I mean, in some cases, yeah, maybe there's some people who's like, all about that cap
Yeah.
life, but you know, they be capping, and you get them there and you're like, wow, why did I hire this guy? Um, but there are people out there who know what they have,
Mhm.
who really do know what they have, and they're willing to stand for it. And you know, it's usually the people that are afraid of that, I guess, are the ones that get, they're like, no, I ain't gonna deal with that. You too much. They think every creator is amateur hour and should be treated as such. You
Yeah.
know, but I mean, would you do that to a surgeon?
Facts.
Would you pay your surgeon in like leftover food from the party? Would you pay your surgeon with like drink tickets? I mean,
You're
come
like,
on, man.
you're like, don't do that.
Here's a badge to whatever event it is. Here's a badge. Here's a badge to the local, I don't know, surgeons convention. No, you're gonna pay that guy because you know that he's going to do the surgery like he's supposed to do it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're gonna pay the I don't know, your contractor
Mm.
with like, somebody's sandwich that was left over. Are you gonna do that? No, you're gonna pay the guy what he's worth.
Mm.
And I understand it's a risk, but it's like you don't have to treat everybody like that. I mean, come on, if you're an artist and sometimes it'd be hard, you're not going to refuse food if people give it to you, but
Yeah.
still, you
Mm.
know, pay me, pay me what I'm worth. Don't make me pay you.
Mm.
That's the other thing I learned about pay to play is not it. They
Mm.
still doing it out here. It's crazy,
Mm.
and they this is what I mean by them being predatory. They go after people who don't know any better, and they try to get the money out of them, and then they'll sit there and go, well, if you're not serious about your career, and try to make you feel bad and get the money out of your pocket, and then turn around and don't do anything for you. You learn this kind of stuff the hard way.
Yeah.
And I learned, no, this is not, and I will try and steer people away from that as fast as possible. Watch these little competitions that be out there. Watch
Mm.
these people that want you to pay for a slot on stage. They're just supposed to be paying you. You're not supposed to be paying them to be
Mm.
seen. That's not how this works. You
Yeah.
know, and too many people believe that,
Mm.
and it really isn't how this works. They should be paying you. You're the one giving the service. You know, you're the one providing your talent that you honed, that you made this music, you recorded it, you put all the stuff together, you and whoever else that you had in your team.
Mm.
You worked your ass off, and they want you to pay them?
Mm.
Nah, 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 nah. That's not how this works at all.
That's not how it works at all.
Oh my God. Uh, this is,
I'm not even getting into it.
yeah, you are in here.
You can't see me.
No, she can't see you because you're not in a direct line of sight. My
That's
husband,
right.
this is Peace,
John
Supreme Lord of the
Cena.
Rumpus,
Hello.
making sure that y'all know he's here.
Well, yeah, we know, we know.
That's
Thank
right,
you.
girl. That's right, chocolate girl. Tell her. Say, I'm a black magical girl. I'm interviewing this girl. She's fluffy.
Go sit down.
I love you.
I love you too.
And I love you
Bye.
too, new friend. You also-
Bye.
I see Johnny. I see Malik.
Go away. Oh my God.
I see homie.
Stop.
I gotta go to the bathroom, so.
Okay. I can't take him anywhere. This is why
It's
This is
okay.
why he's my hype man, I guess.
It's the same for me. Don't worry.
Oh, same thing. So you feel this. Okay. Oh, I can't with him. I can't.
But I just wanted to say I appreciate you having you on the show, and hopefully you had a good time.
I did. Thank you very much for having me on.
You're welcome. And
Hush.
I just wanted to give you the chance to like plug in everywhere you want people to follow you and like keep up with your next projects and where you're gonna be at.
Okay, so thagatanegra.net, that's my website. Also beacons.ai/the Gata Negra. I'm on pretty much every platform. You know, my music can be streamed almost anywhere you can stream music. Um, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. My TikTok game is whack, but I'm working on it. Um, I'm on Instagram, you know, just the Gata Negra. There are other people out there with similar names. Just look for these ears and this hair. You know,
You tell them what shows you're on?
yes, they know all about the shows there. They heard that story already. Yeah, but he's right. You know, I mean, well, East Los High is the one where you can hear it the most. So, but yeah, I'm on pretty much every platform. You know, Tidal. If people use Tidal, Spotify, obviously Spotify. You know, I'm there. People use that. If you're moving away from Spotify, as most people are,
Mm,
it's everywhere else. You
mhm,
know, so just the Gata Negra. Sometimes it's separate. I can thank Apple for that, but you
mhm.
know, they have a thing where like special characters, like capital letters. It's they have you have to. I had to separate the name,
Mm.
so you'll find it under both stylings. You know, joined up and separated. So yeah, I'm out there. You know, come say hi. I don't. The next place I'm going to be, I'm not performing, but I'm going to be at the Wakanda Ball on February 14th
Wakanda forever.
in Newark, New Jersey,
Okay.
at Express Newark. It's being thrown by ChemFest. It's one of their, you know, the Wakanda Ball,
Mhm.
and it's a good time. You know, it's I think it's the first time it's back in Newark in like a couple of years. So,
Okay.
you know, it should be fun. Um, that's right now. That's all I have. That's immediate. So, nothing. I think until April Bloomfest. You know,
Mm.
we've been trying to establish a cosplay walk meetup in
Okay.
at the last day of the Cherry Blossom Festival in
Mm.
Branchbrook Park in Newark, New Jersey. We've been doing it every year. I think this will be our ninth year
Mhm.
doing it. You know, just showing up. You know, we're trying to get them to actually incorporate it into the festival itself.
Mm.
But you know, like I said, Newark be Norkin. So, um, Essex County be Essex County, and
Yeah.
so you know they haven't caught on. You know, we got the most trees, but yet we have the least
Bruh.
otaku stuff going on.
I can't. I can't. You
How
know.
does that work? You know, how does
Yeah.
Washington and Philadelphia and Brooklyn Botanical, how are they outdoing us on this thing? You
You
know,
know. You know. Yeah. Because we're the tree state. That's a whole nother. That's a whole
I'm
nother.
saying like we got all of these cherry. We got like 5,000, literally more than 5,000 cherry blossom trees, I
Yeah.
think,
I think so.
in Branchbrook Park.
Mhm.
But we still not with the cosplay shit.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
going on, man?
I
No
love.
J-pop bands, no May Cafe. Come on, man, get it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
So
Well, maybe one day, but y'all
we've been
that's not.
working on it.
Y'all that's
That's
not in the tri-state, just pray for us, please.
yeah.
No, pray for New Jersey. New York
Pray
got it.
for New
Pray
Jersey.
for
New
New
York is
Jersey.
fine.
Yeah, there's New Jersey.
Pennsylvania's fine.
Yeah,
New Jersey is suffering.
yeah,
I think that
we're suffering
I mean
like
that's literally why we had founded New Jersey Geek Alliance and Neko, Newark Essex
mm,
Kendrick Otaku, trying to like bring these things, but when people don't support the events, they die on the
yeah,
vine.
yeah,
You know, they think we can't do it better than the places around us. And it's
yeah,
like y'all got to support these small things or they
Yeah,
won't flourish. You got
flourishing.
to show people that this is what you want, and this is what we were all about, and we never, you know, New Jersey Geek Alliance exists in name only on Facebook now. You
Mm,
know, it's one of those groups that you just post stuff in. I left
yeah.
because there was a lot of drama,
Mm,
but I did help found it.
One of the owners passed away.
And then one of the other founders, he passed away. Was it last year?
2 years ago, I think.
Something
mm,
like that. Yeah, he passed on, so that was kind of crazy.
mm.
So Peace is kind of running the group now, and
Always been running the group. He just poke his head
yeah,
in.
that's true. We're not gonna go. Don't speak ill of the dead, man. No, he's not. I'm just saying. But but yeah, that's what we were trying to accomplish, and I would still like to try to accomplish these things. We had a ramen run, Naruto ramen run. We wanted to do it at Ramen Gami, but it burned down.
Mm.
They're rebuilding. They've rebuilt, but
Yeah.
we haven't had the chance to take it back there. We did it at Ani Ramen in Cranford
Okay.
after a library con that we were at. So,
Mhm.
Naruto cosplayers sitting there having ramen. You know, so I want to do that again.
Lovelies was dressed up as Naruto Hello
Naruto
Kitty.
Hello Kitty. Yeah, that was our youngest. But
Yeah.
that was a fun thing. So I
Mhm.
would like to do something like that again. Just events with nerdy, geeky, blurty,
Mhm.
weeby
Yeah.
stuff.
No, yeah, I definitely understand that. And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to thank everybody that came on the show and supported. And I really appreciate like everybody that was interacting. But so long story short, for those that don't know who I am, hi, my name is Lizzie. I do a variety of things. I have my art brand, Anime Ink Art, where I traditionally draw and digitally edit. We're getting back to that. The brand has expanded, however, so we support a lot of creators in the blurred community. That's how the show came to be. But we used to just, as we're doing our own stuff, we used to post different creators. We got to networking and mixing with people, and we realized, yeah, we gotta actually talk to people. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how this came to be. If you want to be part of the show, we have open calls that we have on the Anime Ink Art regular page, but we have the form. It's easy as just me reaching out to you or you reaching out to me, or if you see the open call. It's a very easy process. We have a lot more shows coming up. We made that post if you want to see that. But also, we do cosplay. We're going to be at BlurredCon. We figured out our cosplays. Thank the Lord. We were we were the cosplay model for Otaku Noir. They make a lot of cool mystery boxes and they incorporate a lot of the blurred community. They have their My Cosplay is Black calendar. We were part of the month of February last year. If you use code Anime
Nice.
Ink Art, you get free shipping. They have a lot of things coming up for Virtuous Con, which we will be a vendor for. So I guess y'all hear that now. I'm going to announce that when I get the chance. It's a black-owned virtual convention that's going to be February 21st to the 22nd. So we'll be at BlurredCon. So if you see me, say hi. We're also trying to be a creator at DreamCon. I'm not. We don't have any answers yet, so I'll let you know when that comes. Also, shout out to Blurs Unite because we got the opportunity grant for them to keep creating. We were part of Block Party 9. Hopefully, we get to do more things with them in the future. We also work for Critical Care Comics. So, if you guys are in the New York area and you want to be part of it, there's people that cosplay in Marvel and DC characters. We go to a hospital called Jacoby Hospital and we give back to the kids toys and comics. I am an agent. I help out with distributing toys, hiring new people, unloading and unloading. I'm the New Jersey person that just drives out there. So if you guys are more interested, hit me up. See the post that we made recently. We had a visit yesterday and everything like that. And with all of that being said, just check the Anime Ink Art one page and the Anime Ink Art Live one page and join the broadcast channel on the main page. And follow the YouTube. It's free. It's free to subscribe. That's all I could say. So definitely, we'll end it here and bye, guys.
Bye.